start my recording. There we go. So Pear Deck is an add-on for Google Slides that transforms your slideshows into interactive activities. And we're going to go ahead and do a little demo with you guys here. So this is what you'll do to launch Pear Deck. You'll go into the add-ons menu and then just launch Pear Deck. And then from there, you're able to get into your interactive activities from there. So let me go back here. And so what we'll do is I'm going to go ahead and launch Pear Deck for us here. So, and I'll take you guys through the process here for how to launch it here. And so on my screen, what you guys are seeing is the teacher perspective. And so what we'll do is we'll come up to the add-ons menu and we'll find Pear Deck, and then we'll open Pear Deck. And again, you probably won't have this yet, but I'm just kind of showing you kind of the finished product here, so in our demo, and then I'll take you guys through the step-by-step for what to do here. And I'm going to go ahead and start this for you guys here. And we're going to do instructor paste. And once this loads for me, let me log in. And what you guys will do is you'll minimize the Zoom window and go into your browser again and open up a new tab. And once this loads for me, it'll give us a join code here in a second. There we go. So what you guys will do is go into your browser, open up a new tab, and go to this website here, joinpd.com, and then you'll put in this join code, EQJFE. So go ahead and minimize out of your Zoom window, open up your browser, go into a new tab, and then type in joinpd.com, and then you'll put in this code here, EQJFE. And every time that you launch a Pear Deck, it'll give you a an acronym for every join code. So it's EQJFE, or exothermic quizzes jump fragrant elephants.
So I'm having a problem minimizing my screen.
Press the escape key on your keyboard.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm. I'll give you guys another minute here to join in. I got 20 people in here. Has anybody heard of and or used Pear Deck before?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Have you used it in class or just kind of heard of it before?
I actually was studying it yesterday.
Oh, okay. There we go.
I have never used it before, but I think that it looks very nice for the kids to be able to answer questions or participate while they're watching the Google Slides.
Awesome. I'll give you guys another second to.
Fifth grade, and a lot of our colleagues will use Pear Deck. But since this is my first year, I haven't quite used it yet. But I knew that it existed.
Cool. Yeah, this is like probably one of my favorite things, just like in general. It's just awesome. All right. All right, so let's go ahead and let's get started here. If you're still trying to connect, you'll still be able to join even after we start. And so now what we'll see is on your guys' screens, you'll basically be following me as I go through my slideshow. If you're in the same tab as me here, it'll forcefully take you to whichever slide that I'm on. So here I was on those same instructional slides about Zoom. and it'll just basically take me through the slideshow. And there's a couple cool things about that. One, you can keep all your students in one spot on the slideshow, which just by itself is nice because kids are just going to sit here and push the button and just fly through things or let their mind wander. This way, kind of keeps them more focused. And the other thing too is you can insert some of these interactive things in here, right? So on this slide, if you're with me here, we have a little drawing slide for you guys that says write your name or draw a picture of yourself. And at the bottom of your screen, my screen looks different because I have the teacher view. But on your screen, you'll have some drawing little buttons and stuff on the bottom of your screen. So go ahead and take a second here and write or draw your name or draw a picture of yourself. And if you peek back over to the Zoom screen, you'll see that on my screen here, I'm starting to see everybody's responses here come in real time. So this is very, very nifty to see because now we're going to see all this stuff happen in real time, which is really cool. And another cool thing that we can do here is if I, just give students, 30 seconds or something to answer, then I can lock their screens, which it just instantly pauses everybody so they're not able to continue on writing. Kind of cool, right? And then I can flip it back on again so you can continue writing. And if I'm evil, I can just flip it on and off and on and off and on and off just to mess with you, which is always entertaining, right? Anyway, all right. So, and then again, as the teacher here, I can just kind of force everybody to look at my screen here again, just by moving on to the next one. Now on this slide, it's the same type of slide. It's still a drawing slide, but it's a different way of doing it. So you can draw or type two things that you learn. This is from an old slideshow. I forgot to change this slide here. So draw or type two things that you hope to learn today. Let's put it that way. Ignore the tech venture. That was a separate thing. If you're a Copley teacher, you know what that is. And go ahead and type in a couple of things that you hope to learn today. You can also draw them if you wish as well.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
As the teacher, are you able to draw or write something so they can see it or no?
No, that's a good question.
So just the kids can type or write something and then you can see it, but you can't do it back like on your screen for them to see it, correct?
Yeah, unfortunately,
okay.
No.
Okay.
The other way around doing that, I guess, would be just drawing in the slideshow normally.
And then like just showing it to them through the slideshow.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Your workaround. All right, so we're seeing a lot of people say, let's see, how to make slideshows more interesting and interactive. Maybe using this for math problems. Learn some new technology. Make some fun activities. How to learn how to help students become more interactive with me during live sessions. Amp up my slides presentations. Pear Deck for kindergarten. Okay, awesome. All right, very good. And we'll go ahead and continue on here. And notice because I chose teacher paced mode here, every time I move a slide, you guys come with me. If I wanted, I could make this slideshow student paced, meaning you guys can just have basically free reign over the slideshow and work your way through the slides at your own pace if you wish. So now we'll go into another type of slide here after this one here. So we have, we're just talking about collaboration just as a topic to talk about and as another way to kind of show off another type of slide that we have here. So this slide for you guys will just show up as a little text box on the side. And this is really good just for getting a nice, simple, like straightforward short answer from your students. So go ahead in that type box there, go ahead and type into that little text box, and what does collaboration mean to you? And I always love seeing this stuff because I just see all these responses just fly in at the same time, which is really cool. So someone said working with others while being open-minded to everyone's ideas. Someone else says when more than one person bounces ideas off one another to work to accomplish a goal. Sharing ideas and working together to achieve success and include everybody, working effectively with others towards a common goal, working together to equally to create ideas, projects, discussions, etc., with an open mind, working together as a team to share ideas. Awesome. And so this is a really nice way to just get a nice, simple, straightforward answer from students. You collect all this data here. Now, one thing you'll notice if you're looking at my screen is we don't see anybody's names here associated with these little bubbles, right? And so that's kind of nice. There's a good side and a bad side with that. So the good thing is that can kind of encourage students who are the more shy ones or the ones who aren't really sure 100% about what we're talking about, and so they can still kind of throw something out there without that fear of being judged, like, oh, is this a stupid answer that I'm saying? So that kind of takes that burden off their shoulders a little bit. Now, as the teacher here, it makes you wonder, okay, wait a minute. So if I'm not seeing any names here, can I not track who says what? The answer is yes, you still can. You just can't do it during the slideshow in here. Once we're done, I'll take you guys through the Pear Deck website briefly, where we'll see where we'll see like a dashboard. In there, we'll be able to do a breakdown of what students have said, each student. Notice when you guys joined into the Pear Deck, you had to sign in, right? So all that stuff is still being tracked. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump on to our next slide. And this one's just another note slide again. The ones that are just the traditional slides, students can't change. All that they can do is look at them. And then we have another slide like that. And now we have something a little bit different here. This one's also another drawing slide, but this one's is kind of framed a little bit different. And this one's just circle any words or phrases in the quote that really kind of speak to you or really, describe the whole point of collaboration here. So go ahead and use your drawing tools this time, and go ahead and circle or underline or highlight any of the words or phrases that kind of really go along with collaboration. All right, so we're seeing a lot of similar questions, or a lot of similar words and phrases being highlighted here. Another cool thing that you can do on this type of slide is you can layer them all on top of each other. So if you are looking on my screen here, we can look at them independently like this, or like this, where we see each individual person's responses, or we can layer them on the drawing type of slide here, all on top of each other, and we can see all of the commonly highlighted words here. So a lot of people highlighted ownership of the outcome, collaborate. A lot of people, I can't even read what that one originally said. Shared authorship. There we go. That's the one that got highlighted a whole bunch. Cooperation got highlighted a whole bunch. Responsibility got highlighted a whole bunch. All right. So this is just another way to use the same type of slide. And now these types of slides, we only looked at two, I think, main types of slides here. We looked at a drawing slide, and we looked at a text type of slide. So there's lots more once we get into it here, and I'll show you some more of the slide types in just a little bit. And here's another type of way to use a drawing slide. You can tell I like the drawing slides just because you can do a whole bunch with them here. And do a little mind map here by drawing or typing anywhere. So why is collaboration important? And then just use your drawing tools here and just kind of go off of the mind map here for why collaboration is important. Give you guys another few seconds here. Apologies. Just accidentally locked your screen. I'm just hitting buttons over here. All right, so we're getting things like people saying greater outcomes, deeper understanding of content. Everyone has the opportunity to be successful in their own way. It's good for promoting community, teamwork, reaching your goals better. Everybody's involved. Shared responsibility. It's a good life skill. Absolutely, it is a very good life skill to be able to work with other people. Isn't that crazy? Promotes teamwork, sharing ideas, a whole bunch of good stuff. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, so in the interest of time here, we'll just continue on here. And so on this slide, if you're with me still here, this one's a little bit different. Now, all that you have is a little blue dot. And go ahead and just drag your dot onto the way, onto how you're feeling about Pear Deck so far. And if you're looking on my screen again, you'll be able to see everybody's dots here. And we can kind of see everybody. Ooh, everyone! Oh, lots of people are in the green here, saying this is really cool. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So that's our kind of a third of many other types of slides here. One where you just get a dot and you can just highlight it somewhere on the page. And the background picture I have here is just a picture. It's all just using pictures. Somebody asked a question in the chat. Is there a way to see the live slides we are working on and your PowerPoint bigger than the small looking bookmark? Yeah, if you maximize the zoom window and then resize it. So if you hover your cursor right on the corner of the window, you'll be able to kind of drag it to a size that's a little bit better. That's a good question. All right, and then down here is our final conclusion slide here for you, and in this one here is another text type slide. So pretend your colleague was absent from the training today. So write what you would say if you had to explain what Pear Deck is to your colleague. All right, so lots of people saying Pear Deck is a slideshow where students can interact and you can control. There's also the opportunity to collect data, absolutely. Makes it very engaging for students. I would say give it a try. It might transform your teaching and students' learning. It's a Google Slide add-on allowing the teacher to control the slideshow in real time while making it interactive for the students. Very good. All right, we got all these great explanations here. Great, that's all you have to say. It's great. Let's see, using individual devices, students can respond in real time to prompts on a presentation, drawing, typing, surveying, etc. Awesome. A way to make slides interactive in the classroom. Exactly right. All right, so now what we want to take a look at here, that was our little demo here. So a couple more things I want to show you. So go ahead, I'm going to end the Pear Deck session here. I'll just call it, oops. I'll call this Pear Deck demo. I'm hitting buttons here. 4.8. Okay, save and end. All right, so now what we can do is if you hop back over to the Zoom window, you'll still see my screen again. And we'll head over to peardeck.com. And I'm going to go ahead and log in once this loads up for me here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do a teacher login here. And so the reason we come over to this website, to peardeck.com, is to look at all of our previous Pear Deck sessions. This is where we can find all that data for our previous sessions here. So once we are logged into a teacher login in Pear Deck, we can come up to sessions up in the top left. And now we can see all of our previously held Pear Decks here. Now, there is a paid version and a free version of Pear Deck. I'm not 100% sure about what they're doing in response to COVID-19. The chances are, I don't remember offhand, but I believe they are doing something like offering more features during this time for free. I'll have to take a second look at that. But the point is, we can come in here and look at a report of what happened in the slideshow from today. So if I scroll down here and I find here's our Pear Deck demo 4.8, so that was today's here, we'll come under this More Actions button. And what we can do is there's a couple of things we can do. So this square button, it opens up the teacher dashboard, but that's only available if you have the paid version. Oops. No thanks. And it's taking me back out. Hold on a second. Let me jump back out. It got confused there. And we'll try back. There we go. Anyway, so we'll come under the three dots here. The teacher dashboard, that maybe they opened that up for the time being right now. I'll have to fiddle around with that. But the easier thing to use for right now here is we'll come down into the three dots under the session that we want, and then we can go to Export to Spreadsheet. And so what it's doing is it's basically collecting all of the responses that we got from that slideshow, and it's throwing everything into a Google Sheet here for us. Now, the cool thing about that is it just basically tracks in all the stuff that we get. So we have the timestamp for when people for when the session started. We have everybody's names here, and now we have a record of what everybody said. Now, here's a couple things you may notice. For the questions that had like a drawing slide, all that it says is drawing. We're not able to go back and look at what that student like drew on that slide. Okay, if you have the teacher dashboard, if you have maybe the paid version, again, I have to look into that to see if they changed that for the COVID-19 response here. But the types of questions where you are doing just a short answer, these ones, notice, are exactly what people said. So like, if I want to go back and see what Debbie here said, I'm just going to pick on you here. Here's what she said in that slideshow. That's exactly what she put down in those boxes, what she typed. Then we see those same drawings, and then we have also these XY coordinates. So these are the coordinates for when we move that little blue dot to show you how we're doing. Again, it doesn't show exactly where it is, but so if you're trying to really gather some data here, the easiest thing to do is to make a short answer question. That way you can just gather a real good amount of data from your students. Other stuff that you can do, you can just kind of informally check during class. All right, so all those other like drawing features and stuff that we played around with earlier, those are things that you kind of just do check for learning informally, and something you're not necessarily marking down points for. All right, and then just like before, here's slide 7. That was the that final slide that had you guys explain what Pear Deck is. Somebody that wasn't here. So again, here I see all those responses exactly how you guys type them. All right. So again, if you really want to gather some like solid data, collecting things for points, that sort of thing, do one of the short answer types. That way you can have a solid response. Okay. Somebody asked a question in the chat here. Do we need to create an account first before we do an add-on to Google, or when we do an add-on, it'll prompt us to create an account? Once you install Pear Deck, it'll prompt you guys to create an account, which actually is a good transition because that's what we're going to go ahead and do now. So I'm going to close out of all this other stuff here. There's more stuff here to do in Pear Deck's website for our purposes here. I'll just kind of skip past it here. Okay, so back on our original slideshow here, this was the whole slideshow that I had for you guys. And so what we'll do now is we'll go to a brand new slideshow and we'll install Pear Deck, and we'll kind of get started with that, and we'll start plugging in some of those interactive tidbits here. All right, so I'm going to go off to a new tab here. I'm going to open up a new Google Slideshow. If you didn't know this trick, I love this trick. If you type in slides.new in the address bar, it'll give you a brand new Google Slideshow. I love that little trick. Somebody else has asked a question. Can you see each student's individual answers aside from the spreadsheet, like to see their drawings and stuff? If you do the teacher dashboard in the paid version, yeah. And that's, again, one of the things I'll have to look into more if they open that up as part of their COVID-19 response. I'm not sure if they open that up more. But if you have the teacher dashboard, yes. Otherwise, you just kind of have the spreadsheet to look back on. Okay, so here in our new spreadsheet, I'll just put in a name here. So I'll call this Pear Deck Practice. And we'll go ahead and launch or install Pear Deck. So if you guys don't have Pear Deck yet, we'll come to the add-ons menu up in the top. Then we'll find Get Add-ons. So it's add-ons and then Get Add-ons. Depending on your school, you may or may not have the ability to install add-ons. It depends on your school. Some schools lock it down, some don't. If you're on a school device, on a school account. So depending on your school, you may or may not have this capability to install Pear Deck here. All right. If it doesn't show up in like one of the first sections here, just do a search for it up in the top. Just search for Pear Deck. And I already have mine, so mine already says uninstall because I already have it. And then just go ahead and install it. It'll take a little bit to install. It'll ask you just for like permissions for different things. So you'll just allow all that stuff that comes up for it. All right. I'll keep an eye on the chat here. All right, and so when you get Pear Deck installed here, there's kind of like two ways that you can prep with Pear Deck here. One is you can completely start from scratch. So if you're creating a slideshow for something that you're teaching, coming up soon, you can just plan your Pear Deck as you're making your slideshow as normal. Or if you already have a slideshow that's already made, you can use Pear Deck on the already existing slideshow, and you can just basically sprinkle in the interactive bits as you need them. Somebody asked, if our school has it not available for downloading, how can I get it to be able to download? You'll have to email your technology director or your G Suite administrator. So get a hold of your tech director and say, hey, we want Pear Deck, and they should be able to open that up for you. All right. So what we'll do here is I will go ahead and just kind of take you guys through a couple of the most common ways to use Pear Deck here. Okay. I'll kind of have this split across different types of classes here, just so you can see different types of examples. You're going to essentially use it the same way, but just so you have different examples here. All right, so let's get started. So we'll go into the add-ons menu once we have Pear Deck installed, and we'll find the Pear Deck section, and we'll go ahead and open it up. And what we'll do is on this first page that comes up here on the right-hand side, there's a few buttons. The big green button at the top, we're not going to hit yet until we're finished and we're actually ready to start teaching it. Below that, we have our template library, which we're going to go into in just a second here. There's some featured content that just has some stuff that they're promoting, and then we have the different blank types of questions here. All right, so for our purposes, we're going to go into the template library section. And inside of the template library, we have a bunch of templates. Go figure, right? All right, so if we scroll down just a little bit here, under the template library, we have different types of questions here. So we have beginning of lesson questions, we have during lesson questions, and end of lesson questions. If we scroll down even further, we have some more different templates for like critical thinking, social emotional learning, and then there's a few more for some examples. Okay, but we'll just go ahead and we'll do beginning of lesson. So at the very top there, we go into beginning of lesson. And when we go in here, we see all of their different templates that are in here. If it's asking a question that you don't really like, or if you don't like the picture, that's totally okay, because we can change pretty much whatever we want on this example sheet here, on this example slide. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll just start with this one that says, what do you wonder about today's topic? Right below that, it's going to show what type of slide it is. So this one's a text slide. If you click on the little, or hover over the little question mark next to it, it shows you what that slide type actually does. So students type a response to your prompt on their devices. Okay, that sounds perfect. We'll go ahead and give that a single click on top of it, and it's going to take a second here. It's going to drop it in to our slideshow. And there it is. Notice on the left-hand side in our deck, it did not overwrite the existing slide that was already there. It makes a brand new slide for the Pear Deck slide that we just dropped in here. So what that means is, if you have an existing slideshow that you're sprinkling in some interactive bits into here, you don't have to worry about it overwriting your slide that you already had a bunch of stuff on. Okay. So for this one here, we can change pretty much whatever we want on this slide now. The only thing we cannot change is this bar down here at the bottom. All right, we can move it, but just don't. as just good practice, just leave this bar down here at the bottom here. Just leave it alone, and just keep it down here at the bottom of the page. Just don't fiddle with it. All right, that's the only thing you can't change. All right, but this picture here, if I don't want this picture here, I can get rid of that. If I don't like this cloud here, I can get rid of that. If I want to change how this question's asked, or if I want to change, the font or the color or any of that stuff, I can do whatever I want. So if I want to change, the color or the text of that and make it, make it bigger, I can do all of that stuff. Okay, I can change. It behaves just like a regular slide at that point. Okay, so that's pretty much how you insert a slide, and then you can fiddle and change around any of the stuff on the slide that you want. Again, just accept this bottom little picture down here. You can change whatever else that you want. Okay. Again, that's the nice thing about the templates, though, is they start with these nice, useful-looking templates here that have. This one's a perfect, easy thing for like a bell ringer kind of a thing, like a warm-up question here that you can just kind of get students started with. All right. Now, if you want to find some more stuff for like maybe in the middle of your lesson, we can come back to our Pear Deck side panel here, and we'll go back, and we'll go into the during lesson section here. And maybe we want to have maybe a draggable slide. So we can find this draggable one, which if you remember from just a couple minutes ago, looks very similar to the little draggable blue dot thing that we did a little bit ago. All right. Those guys look pretty familiar. The only thing I did for our slideshow that we kind of played around with earlier, all I did was change the words in these boxes. That's all I did. All right, and something like this is a perfect little formative check for your students. All right, now because this slide is a draggable slide, so students drag icons anywhere on the screen in response to your prompt. Now, here's a different way that we can use that. So of course, this can be like a self-check thing, kind of like we did, or we can get rid of all this stuff. And let's say I want to change around how we're doing this totally. So instead of all this, let's say we're talking, maybe we're in like a science class here, and maybe we're talking about like, you know, the parts of the heart. All right, so what we can do is I'm going to go into insert an image here. I'm going to do a search the web. Maybe I'll say heart diagram. And let's get an unlabeled. If I spelled that right. There we go, perfect. And I can find it. I can drop a picture in here. And so if if we're in a science class and we want our students to be learning the different parts of the heart here, so then I can change the prompt up here and say drag your dot to the section of the heart as I say it. All right, so that just like that, in the live class as I'm teaching, I can say upper ventricle. I don't know the parts of the heart. I'm just remembering parts from like what I've seen on TV. So the upper ventricle. Science teachers can help me out with if that's actually a thing or not. And then the students would drag their dots onto the appropriate spot, or the lower aorta, or whatever. I probably should have used an example of something that I actually know about. And students can just drag their little blue dots to the right spot on the heart. All right, and of course this could be good for something different than a heart. Any sort of diagram where students need to point to a certain thing, it can be a lot easier to do that than it would be to have students just kind of do this like one at a time. All right, and this behaves just like we saw in our example demo here that we did earlier, and we're going to see where students are putting those dots, and that helps students kind of know where these different things are in a physical space. It's pretty cool. All right, and then other stuff that we can do in the template here. Let me go back to we have a chat here. Somebody asked, do we need to put the dot on the slide, or can they drag one at the bottom? So the dot is automatically created for them if you're using a draggable type of slide here. So the little blue dot, it basically replaces their cursor. So it behaves just like it did when we were playing around earlier with our demo earlier today. So you don't have to make a circle or anything. As long as you choose the draggable slide type here, it'll show up for you. That's a good question. All right, so let me find another type of slide here. So here we go. So we can do just another mind map. So this was just another one from the template gallery here. And so we can start a mind map by drawing or typing anywhere. And so this one's a drawing slide. So just like before, we can look at the little question mark and see what that actually means. So students draw an image or text on their or text on their device in response to your prompt. And so again, if I want to keep this mind map as it is, and I just want to change what it says in here, so label 3 things about the heart. I don't know. So then students would use this mind map to create, would use the drawing tools rather, just to fill out their mind map. Or if I want to change that up completely, instead I can get rid of this whole thing. Again, this is all editable stuff, so I can get rid of all this other stuff. And let's say I want to make something different here. Maybe instead of doing a mind map, maybe I want to say fill out this Venn diagram about let's do about World War I versus World War II. And then just like in a normal slideshow, I come up to the drawing or up to the drawing tools up here in Google Slides normally here, and I'll go ahead and draw out a couple of circles for a Venn diagram. So I'll copy and paste that. Maybe make that a little bit bigger here. Make those transparent. And there we go. Just like that, I have a Venn diagram. And so all that students would have to do, they would have those same drawing tools that you guys were working with a little bit earlier. And so they could text, they can draw things, and they could just make a little Venn diagram here between World War I and World War II, just as an example. Okay, so of course you can use this stuff in a million different ways, especially the drawing ones. Okay, now the one thing to remember though, if you're trying to collect more data like for points, you'll want to use the text type of slides, the text slides. Okay. Then we also have a multiple choice one. Let me see if we have one that is. Let me see if we have one that's a little bit better of a pick here. Somebody has a question in the chat. Is there a way for each student to have their own copy of the Venn diagram, or would answers be shared on a response side like how we had our own text drawing box? Yeah, so this behaves just like we saw earlier. So everybody's going to have their own slide, and they're just filling it out. As the teacher, I can show everybody's up on my screen if I want to. I don't have to. I can show everybody's as they're filling them out. All right. Then we also have a multiple choice slide. So students would just choose an option. So if you want to have a multiple choice question dropped into your slideshow as well. And so in here we have our prompt. Again, you could ask whatever you want. You can have a picture in here. You can have whatever prompt that you want. If we kind of scroll this part up here, it gives us a few ideas here. In the multiple choice, to edit the type of question, we go back to the ask students a question in the Pear Deck sidebar, and then we're able to change these around. So let me make this point super clear. If you are doing a multiple choice question, if you grab one from the template gallery here, you kind of have to stick with whatever choices they give you for like A, B, C, D, whichever ones they give you here, you kind of have to stick with them. If you want to make a completely custom multiple choice question, we have to come back here on the sidebar here, go all the way back to the main menu here, and we come down and find the multiple choice section under the Ask Students a Question option here. And then this is where we can put in the custom ones here. So if we are talking about, our different choices here. The prompt is going to, as another point here, the prompt is going to go on the slide itself, and then the choices are going to be separate. Okay, so the prompt you'll write on the slide normally, as you kind of would normally. Then the different options are going to be written here on this page here. So if we're doing a question about, let me think here. If we're doing like maybe like an ELA question about, let's do, maybe if you're talking about, maybe you're talking about like American literature or something. So maybe the question's like, who wrote The Raven? Was it Edgar Allan Poe? Was it William Shakespeare? That's totally wrong. Was it oh god, what's her name? I'm completely blanking out. Who wrote Jane Eyre? That's not American, but I'm totally blanking. I've been inside for too long. Anyway, so I'll close it. It's just a two question slide, but I'll just do that. It's going to go ahead and drop these questions in, and so just like that, it'll change around the choices down here now. So now here's that original slide that we started with, and just like that, those choices are different. So then you can come here in the prompt and say, who wrote The Raven? All right, and just like that, you have a different multiple choice question. Okay, and again, that's just the picture that comes with it is just a picture, but now you're able to change that those actual choices. Hopefully, that's all making sense. All right. And if we come back into the template library one more time, we'll go into the end of lesson section here. And in this one, let's find another type of slide that we didn't do yet here. We did a drawing slide, we did a text slide. We did a drawing. Here's another draggable one. Here's another way to use a drawing slide, I suppose. You can tell I like the drawing slides because you can just do so much with them. I'll go ahead and drop this one in here. So you can reflect on today's activities here. So this one's just a simple drawing slide. Again, this one was one of the templates here under the end of lesson section. And in this one here, we can just fill out whatever, kind of last questions that you want, kind of like as an exit slip for the day. All right. If it's something, again, that you really want to get data from or taking points from, you may want to do a text slide. So this one you can easily just kind of convert to a text slide. Just create a text slide to start with, and you can still just ask these same questions and do it that way. All right. Okay. So even if you are even if you're doing Pear Deck for the very first time on a existing slideshow that you already have, the process here is exactly the same. All that you do is open up the sidebar and start sprinkling in those interactive bits wherever you want. Okay, if you want to make an existing slide into an interactive one, so if you don't want to have a separate slide like we've been doing here, if you want to take an existing slide that already has like some questions on it or something, and you want to make it Pear Deck interactive, then that's when we have to make sure we're selected on that slide here. So I'll just start from this first like blank slide here. And what we'll do is in the sidebar again, this is where we'll come over to the ask students a question part, and then we can type in, we can choose whichever type of slide that we want. So we can do a text slide, a multiple choice, we can do a number one, which is a little bit different here. So what this one does is has students just type in a number. So this is especially good for like math teachers because it'll have them basically type in a number, and it gives you a like a little graph of how students typed out what number students typed out. So you're able to see kind of the range of numbers that students typed in. You can also embed a website. Honestly, for that one, I haven't seen the use of doing that one. I think the more useful thing is just to have the link to the website on there. It's more useful if you have if you need students to go to that website during the Pear Deck, I suppose. So that's how you can do that. If you are doing the Pear Deck with your students and you need them to go to a website during the Pear Deck, you would use that. Okay. Then of course you have your drawing tool and your draggable option as well. All right, and you just choose whichever one that you want. So if I want to do a draggable one here, and again, that's just where it gives you that little blue dot. This one I can only do with premium. So the ones that have little stars here, I forgot to mention here, are the premium ones. So that just means you can't make them from scratch here. It's easy enough to go around that. All you have to do is go into the template gallery here, find one of the examples where we have a draggable or a drawing slide, and just use that one, and we can just erase all the stuff that's on that template slide, and then it's effectively the same thing. Okay, so it's a little bit more work, but hey, you don't have to pay anything. So there's the bonus for you. Okay. All right. So that pretty much takes us down to the end here. So last little bits for us before we wrap up. So in order to launch this with your students, to go and actually do this in class, when we are ready to launch this in class, we'll open up our slideshow here, and then we'll go into the add-ons menu, open up Pear Deck. So we open up the sidebar, and we click on the Start Lesson green button up here. All right, we're not clicking on the normal white present button that's up at the top of Google Slides normally. We're not doing that one. That will just show you the slides like normal. It's not going to have any interactivity with it. All right, that's not going to enable any of that interactivity. Okay, so in order to start it in Pear Deck, to make it interactive, we have to go into the green Start button in the Pear Deck sidebar. All right, then we'll choose which type of mode we're doing. So we can do student paced, where again, students will just basically have free reign over the slideshow, and they can just go through at their own pace. Or you can do teacher based. All right, where when you move a slide, everybody comes with you. All right, and then just like we saw before, if I just do instructor paced here, I'll go ahead and launch it. It'll take a second here. It's going to give us the join code and directions. Somebody asked in the chat, could you put this Pear Deck Google Slide on a Google Classroom for them to do at home on student paste? Yes. What you would have to do is you have to turn it on to be student paste, and then you'd give them this website to go to. You'd tell them in Google Classroom, go to joinpd.com and then put in this code. Okay. So if I come in here, let me see if I'm able to change this during the session here. Yeah, let me show you that, because that's a really good question here. So let me show that from the beginning here. So I'll launch the session in Pear Deck here, and I'll choose. This loads for me here. I probably confused it. I would choose student paste mode if it loads for me. There we go, student paste. It's going to launch the activity again, and what I would do, I don't want your premium. Oh, why did you do that? As this loads for me. Okay, no thanks. I did not think that. Oh, is student paste only available? I don't know why it's closing out, because that's not a premium thing. That shouldn't be closing. I don't know why that's closing. Boo. Okay. All right. So what we have to do in that case then is we'll have to launch it in teacher paste, let it load up, and then when you are in teacher paste mode, then we can come in and change it into student paste here. I don't know why that's closing out. It shouldn't close out like that, because student paste mode isn't a premium thing, I don't think. You can tell they really are pushing the the paid version here. So we will have students come in, and what you can also do is give the students a link from down here. This link is copied here, so I can just go and paste that into Google Classroom, and students can join in that way. So that's kind of the tricky thing. So it's looking like it's not letting me do that. I didn't think that that option was. Let me see here. Turn on student paste mode. Okay, I got it. All right, there we go. So now it's in student paste up here. So this again, this link here, you give them joinpd.com or give the students a link here, and they would put in this join code. So the way to do that is, apparently you have to start it in teacher paste mode, come down to the 3 dots at the bottom, and turn on student paste mode from here. Okay. I'm not sure why there's there's a way to do that. That's a good question. If they just click the link, will they be able to join in? Let me test that real quick. Let me test that real quick here. Let's see. That's a very good question. Let's see. Come on. 2 minutes left. Gotta be done by 9. Yep, there we go. So if you just give them the link, there we go. So that's good. That's a good test there. I'd never tested that before. So now students are able to come through and go through the slideshow at their own pace, and then start drawing all that stuff in there. So yes, the answer is yes. All right, so that was the process. You start it in teacher paste mode. We come down to the 3 dots and turn on student paste mode. And we can also give them the link here by clicking on the join code up in the top here, up in the top right, and copy the student link here. You can copy this link and go and paste that into Google Classroom, and they'll be able to join in right from there. Somebody asked, can you require a question to be answered to get into, I think you mean during the slideshow. I don't think so, because students really don't submit it at the end, they would just finish and close out. Everything's auto-saved. So not really, you can't really require a question to be answered before they leave. That's a good question. All right, so that pretty much will bring us down to the end here. Again, if you have any more questions, feel free to hang out here and type into the chat. Other than that, if you're staying for the interactive video assignments question, that's about to start here in just a second, actually. And if you have any more questions, feel free to ask away. I'll send out a CEU certificate of attendance to everybody after in a few hours. So if you have any more thoughts, feel free to fire away. Other than that, have a great day for everybody who's heading out after this session. And we'll get started with interactive video assignments here in just a minute.